call to order the meeting of Mayor and Council. If you'll rise for the invocation by Councilman Mccoy.
If you would, please bow your heads. Dear Lord, we praise you for this opportunity to gather in your name. Lord, please continue to watch over this world, our nation, and our city, Lord. We are in odd times, Lord, and a lot of people out there are facing trials and tribulations, Lord, and we know only through you can we get through, Lord. So continue to watch over us and bring us back safely, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please remain standing for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May be seated. Okay, do we have any changes to tonight's agenda?
No, sir, we do not.
Okay, you've all received the minutes from our last meeting on July 14th. If there are questions or comments, I'll accept the motion to receive the minutes.
So moved, Mr. Mayor. Dan Henderson speaking.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Councilman Orlando Holland, I second that motion.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. Do we have any correspondence tonight?
No, sir, we do not.
Okay, we have a public hearing at 7:05 tonight, so in order to be efficient with our time, if you don't mind, with your privilege, I'd like to move to new business number 4, which is the appointment for various committee appointments. As you know, each year we either reappoint or ask people if they want to stay on their committee slots. It's the role of the mayor to find people to fill these slots, and it's your role as council to, if you disagree with anybody being appointed, this is your opportunity to say so. Otherwise, I've presented a list before you. If there are no questions or comments, I'll accept a motion to receive those appointments to committee.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make the motion to approve various committee appointments as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Councilman King, I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. Can we have a roll call vote, please, Ashley?
Councilman Santos?
Aye.
Councilman Henderson?
Aye.
Councilman Holland?
Aye.
Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
Councilman King?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. Unanimous. Appreciate that. Okay, again, in respect to time, we'll go through reminders of meetings.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. We only have one reminder of meetings, and that's the Employee Appreciation and Awards Dinner. That'll be August 21st, 2020 at Van Duyn Acres, starting at 6 p.m. So hopefully we can see everyone there. It'll be a very nice event.
Yes, it will. All right, I have 7:02, so we're going to keep going, trying to take up some time. Councilman Santos, do you have your committee report ready? Could you do your committee report?
Yeah, yes, Mayor.
Thank you.
All right. My report is as follows. So they inspected the roof frame replacement at the police department garage. It's going well. They gave a presentation to the Seaford School Building Committee regarding city growth and zoning provisions. They attended the Montessori School paving bid opening. They had prepared the draft annexation committee information. For IT, they did server updates and software reconfiguration, and they also installed and mounted a thermal scanner at the police department and at City Hall. They'll be checking everybody's temperatures, and if it's over 100.4, I believe, they'll be asked to go through the drive-through. For the administration report, they're doing the audits, and they've provided the reports and documentation for preliminary field work. And they've been preparing a policy for temperature scanning at city facilities. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for allowing me to pop that on you on the last minute.
Oh, yeah.
Appreciate that. Quick on your feet, I like it. we close enough to 7:05 to open the public hearing?
sir.
All right, I'll turn it over to you, City Manager.
All right, so Mike Bailey's here to present the items we have for this evening's public hearing.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Mike.
There's 3 items on the agenda for a public hearing this evening. Here's the first one is for A.J. Dolby, trustee. The property is located out on Old Furnace Road. That is tax map and parcel 331-4.00-37.00. Current zoning is R1, low-density residential. They are requesting to rezone the property from R1, low-density residential, to R2, medium-density residential for a proposed subdivision. It's kind of hard to see. It's way out there. There's a red. Let's see if I can get my laser pointer up. Way out here on Old Furnace Road, there's highlighted it in red right there, is the parcel in question. The color blue there is R1. Like I said, they're proposing R2, and I do have a Google shot of it. Farmland currently, a little bit of wooded area. The current property as it is meets the area and bulk requirements for the R2 zone as it is.
Okay, are there any questions from council?
Dan Henderson, I have a question. Some years ago, there was a presentation made by the Dolbys regarding a development. Do you recall how many lots that was, or how many dwellings were in that?
That'll actually be the next agenda item. They have a subdivision request as well for this parcel.
Well, if it was presented in the same way, why would it need to be?
I believe this is a slightly modified version of that last one. These new subdivided lots need R2 to work.
Okay.
They won't work in R1. They're
So
smaller.
you're going from a certain lot size to a smaller lot size to get more units in?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
Does that answer your?
It does, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from council?
Yeah, one, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Councilman King?
Mike, can you explain the difference between R1 and R2?
R1 is a larger lot size, 7,500 square foot. R2 is 4,500 square feet minimum. It allows for more homes per acre in R2.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Any questions from the public? Okay, Mike.
Next item on the agenda is also A.J. Dolby trustee, property located on Old Furnace Road, tax map and parcel 331-4.00-37.00. The proposed zoning is R2, medium density residential, and they're requesting a sketch site plan review for a proposed 118 lot residential community to be constructed on 33.32 acres. Again, it's the same site we just talked about out on Old Furnace Road. Same Google shot. And this is the actual survey we received, and I do have it zoomed in a little bit bigger with the lots there that they're proposing. 118 lots. The proposed lots do meet the area and bulk requirements for R2. That is 4,500 square foot minimum with a 35-foot minimum width. And the proposed lots, the minimum size is 7,560 square feet, and the minimum width is 63 feet. They vary. They're not all the exact same size, but those are the minimums for, for the lots that are in there. They do require approvals from DelDOT, Fire Marshal, Sussex Conservation, and the city engineer for water and sewer extension, which they do show some connections to city water and sewer here. There's a lift station proposed, as well as a water connection here that we'll have to get figured out how to get that to them.
Okay, are there any questions from council? Yes, sir, Councilman Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, seeing the new layout, if memory serves me, the reason the density was less prior to that was because they needed room for like a central septic system or?
Yeah, that, I wasn't in this position during that, but I did see that plan. With the work on Sussex Highway with the sewer extensions, they have access to
So
that.
access to city water and sewer now allows them to be more dense,
Correct.
so they don't have to have
They
septic.
don't have to
right?
have a private septic.
That's really, my primary, not concern, but interest was, I recall that there was a plan, but
Yes.
it was kind of sparse. It was really spaced out because had to be so much room for not individual septic systems, but
A community.
there was like a green space, a large area for septic. So that's really, it looks like a very efficient use of space. Looks like it'll be a nice neighborhood.
Any other questions from council? Any questions from the public?
Move on to public hearing number 3. This is for Park Venture East LLC. Property is located on Venture Drive, and that is tax map and parcel 331-5.00-4.27. Zoning is M1 Light Industrial, and they're requesting a final site plan review for a 6-unit flexible warehouse park. This is the site out on Venture Drive, at the very end, past FedEx and the ponds. I've got it highlighted in red there. It's just vacant lands right now. This is the site plan. I do have it zoomed in a little bit, showing more detail. I've got the 6 warehouses there surrounding the site with interior parking and good traffic flow through there. There is a loading dock for use for the whole site there in the back corner. And it's 6 flexible warehouse spaces. 2 of those are 9,000 square feet, 2 7,500 square feet, 2 5,000 square feet. And they're providing 91 paved parking spaces. Only 43 are required by code, 1 per 1,000 square foot warehouse space. Stormwater will outfall to the existing pond in the Ross Business Park, and water and sewer will be available on site. And they received approvals from State Fire Marshal, Sussex Conservation, and the city engineer for the stormwater. And Venture Drive will be extended by the city to meet this project's entrances here and here.
Okay, are there any questions from council?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Dan Henderson.
Yes, sir.
Are there any changes from the previous plan?
Minor adjustments to the parking to meet the requirements of the code, but they still have ample.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from council? If not, questions from the public? You utilized that lot size to a T. There's, well done. So. Okay, Mike. Okay, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing and reopen our regular meeting.
Go back to agenda item number 1. The project is Dolby rezoning. The owners are A.J. Dolby trustee. Property location, Old Furnace Road. Tax map and parcel 331-4.00-37.00. Zoning, current zoning is R1 low density residential. The proposed zoning is R2 medium density residential, and the property meets the area and bulk requirements for R2 zone. Planning and zoning did make a favorable recommendation to council. It was at their March meeting. This has been delayed due to the COVID-19.
Okay, I'll accept the motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the request for initial A, J. Dolby Trustees, property owner, a tax map and parcel 331-4.00-37.00 to rezone the property from R1 low density residential to R2 medium density residential as presented.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Holland. Do we have a second?
Councilman Mccoy, I'll second.
Thank you. Are there any questions on the motion? Ashley, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilman Santos,
Aye.
Councilman Henderson,
Yes, based on findings of fact.
Councilman Holland,
Aye.
Councilman McCoy,
Yes, based on findings of facts.
Councilman King,
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you. Next, Mike?
Thank you. Public hearing number 2, findings of facts. Project is Dolby Sketch Site Plan. Owners are A.J. Dolby Trustee. Property is located on Old Furnace Road. Tax map and parcel 331-4.00-37.00. Zoning is R2 medium density residential. They are proposing 118 residential lots. The proposed lot size meet the area and bulk requirements for R2 zone, which are 4,500 square foot minimum with a 35-foot minimum width. The proposed lots are, the minimum size is 7,560 square feet, and the minimum width is 63 feet. They're proposing connections to city water and sewer with the lift station, and they do require approvals from DelDOT, State Fire Marshal, Sussex Conservation, City Engineer for the water and sewer extension, and Planning and Zoning also made a favorable recommendation to council at their March meeting.
Okay, I'll accept the motion.
Councilman Santos, I'll make a motion to approve the request of A.J. Dolby Trustee, property owner of tax map and parcel number 331-4.00-37.00 for a sketch site plan approval for proposed 118 lot residential community to be constructed on 33.32 acres of land, zone R2 medium density residential as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Councilman King, I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions on the motion? Ashley, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilman Santos,
Aye.
Councilman Henderson,
Yes, based on findings of facts.
Councilman Holland,
Aye.
Councilman McCoy,
Yes, based on findings of facts.
Councilman King,
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. And you should receive a Perseverance Award for sticking to this for as long as you have. No, you're not, but you've, that was a big hurdle. And we've been meeting about this for a long time, so congratulations. Okay, Mike.
All right, public hearing item number 3, findings of facts. The project is East Park Business Center final site plan. Owners are Park Venture East LLC. Property is located on Venture Drive, and that is tax map and parcel 331-5.00-4.27. The zoning is M1 light industrial. It is for 6 flexible warehouse spaces, 2 9,000 square feet, 2 7,500 square feet, and 2 5,000 square feet. They're providing 91 paved parking spaces, and 43 are the required number by code, 1 per 1,000 square feet. Stormwater is to outfall into the existing pond in Ross Business Park, and they do have approvals from the State Fire Marshal, Sussex Conservation, and the City Engineer for stormwater, and Planning and Zoning made a favorable recommendation to council at their last meeting.
Okay, I'll accept the motion.
Councilman McCoy, I'll make the motion to approve the request of Park Venture East LLC, located at Lot 7 Venture Drive, tax map and parcel number 331-5.00-4.27, for a final site plan approval to construct 6 flex space units totaling 43,000 square feet as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Councilman Holland, I second that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions on the motion? If not, Ashley, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilman Santos,
Aye.
Councilman Henderson,
Yes, based on findings of facts.
Councilman Holland,
Aye.
Councilman McCoy,
Yes, based on findings of facts.
Councilman King,
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you. Great project. It's going to bring some jobs to Seaford. We appreciate your work here, Kent, so much. Thank you for investing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Great job. All right, next on our agenda is the contract extension for the Chief of Police. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay, just a little bit of background for council. As everyone is aware, our Chief of Police, Marshall Kraft, joined us about 14 months ago under a 2-year contract, and we have been working over the last couple months or so with the mayor and the vice mayor and the chief to try to come to some terms, and I'm happy to report this evening that we have been able to do that. There are 2 handouts in your two attachments in your board pack there. One is the red line copy of the existing contract. So this is a contract extension agreement. It'll be for an additional 4 years extension. So that's included in there. And should council decide to adopt this, we would execute this as soon as we could pull the chief together, the mayor, and all the witnesses necessary. It does provide a pay increase for the chief for compensation because we were still working on the former contract with a slight pay adjustment. And then we did clean up some issues related to vacation because he had started out with a minimal amount of vacation for the 2-year contract. We have addressed that in this contract agreement extension, as well as some AT time provisions. Other than that, it's very similar to the contract that was previously approved. It's just a contract extension.
Okay, are there any questions in regards to the contract for our chief of police? Okay, if they're not, I'll accept the motion.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Santos, I'll make a motion to approve the employment contract extension for the Chief of Police, Marshall Kraft, as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Dan Henderson.
Thank you. Ashley, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilman Santos,
Aye.
Councilman Henderson,
Aye.
Councilman Holland,
Aye.
Councilman McCoy,
Aye.
Councilman King.
Aye.
It's unanimous, Chief. Thank you for your work you're doing. You continue to impress me, I know that, so thank you for all your work. All right, next we have the recommendation from the Economic Development Committee. Tricia Newcomer's gonna...
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So our Economic Development Committee met on July 21st. We had, at the time, a request from the developer owner of Sunrise Motel, Mr. Sepan Shaw. His property, as many of you know, is located on Sussex Highway 22512, Sussex Highway to be exact. It's tax map and parcel 331-3.00-180.00. And as council will remember, last council meeting, an annexation committee was put together because they have submitted requests for annexation. With that, staff has been working with Mr. Shaw for quite some time. I know the Director of Public Works, the City Manager, and myself have met with him numerous times. We've actually been out on site. He really wanted to pursue his annexation, I would tell you, probably about 18 months ago. But the city was not in a position to even have any infrastructure out there, and we kind of encouraged him to just hold off because it really wouldn't be beneficial to his project. But as everyone's aware, with the Unified Sewer District project and then our additional projects and the development with Lakeshore, we're moving that way, so he started to pursue that. And in that, we had given him, I had the building official run preliminary numbers, what his plan is to do on this property. Here's a visual of the property. He's done a tremendous job cleaning it up. But he is looking to, once it's annexed, to add, there's currently 22 units on the property now, to the north side of that property, kind of to the back of where you see their sign there. He wants to add a 6,000 square foot, 2-story building that would add another 22 units to that property. And so we'd given him a preliminary cost estimate based on all of that, exclusive of all the electric infrastructure, because we didn't have that information to really be able to give to him because he's not that far along in his plans for us to really be able to provide that. And he was running his numbers, and some of the numbers seemed quite cost prohibitive to him to really make his project work, so it could be beneficial. So we worked with him, and he formulated an ask for the Economic Development Committee. And as I said, we met on the 21st. And the committee talked about the fact that when we worked with the Middleford Road residents and property owners, we had crafted an incentive that would allow them to tie on at no cost because it was a benefit to the city. So we talked around that a little bit, and ultimately the committee decided or recommended to you guys to go ahead and waive his initial connection, meaning the 22 units that are currently there, and only charge the prorated amount on the new development that would occur. And we also put a time limit on that, so it would be, he would have to it would have to occur within 24 months of the beneficial use. So that's where we are with that.
Okay, are there any questions in reference to the incentives being offered on the, yes, Councilman King?
Yep, thank you. Trish, let's talk a little bit about the hotel motel tax. So currently, is that something that the state of Delaware does, or is that something just that the city of Seaford does? So I'm just wondering, if he's annexed into the city, is he aware that we have approved a hotel motel?
He is, we have
tax?
informed him of that, I think he just is
Yeah.
paying state tax at this point.
Well, yeah, right now he's unannexed, so he's not eligible for city tax. Okay,
Right.
so he does, as far as I know, pay a state tax. Upon annexation, should that occur, he would be subject to the city tax, which currently is 3%. So Trish is right, absolutely. We have discussed this with him, and he actually ran some calculations for the Economic Development Committee, kind of all in. So he's factored in the cost of the tax, as well as water sewer payments, real estate taxes. So yes, sir, he is well aware that he would have to, should he annex, that would.
He's estimating this would be about $30,000 a year in revenue for the city based on those numbers. And one thing I did not mention, and one of the biggest drivers in this is he's landlocked with what he has. He cannot expand in his current footprint due to the infrastructure he has on his site, and the state won't allow for him to do anything to make that possible. So in essence, annexation has to occur for him. Obviously we have a procedure to go through, but he needs our services.
Yeah, and the reason I was asking the incentive, I didn't realize if there was a big difference in what he's paying for the state versus the city. And if there is, and I think in all fairness, I know right now we put that on hold because of COVID, that tax, and so
Yes,
maybe
sir.
at some point we may need to revisit that.
Yeah, I mean, council's
We
decision.
paused it.
We paused it,
Right.
yes. The mayor is absolutely correct. It will, again, it'll sunset, the pause will sunset, and then we'll be back in after the summer to taxation of rental rooms, so.
And the
yes, sir.
extension of this infrastructure, while it's going to serve him to be able to do what he needs to do from the city's perspective, it's going to put us in a great position to be able to develop and bring in those additional properties that aren't currently annexed, and provide more job opportunities. This particular project, he estimates with the new building, he'll have roughly 5 to 6 new jobs, 1 to 2 part-time seasonal.
It's awesome.
So small jobs, obviously it's a small commercial project, but jobs are important.
Amen.
Every job.
Any other questions from Councilman McCoy?
You said that he gave us a cost analysis on what overall for his business.
Yep.
The new extension or new building he's talking about, did he give us any kind of detail on what that looks like as far as similar room size, any amenities he's talking about?
It's 6,000 square foot, so it would be 11 on the bottom, 11 on the top. I don't know dimension-wise if the units are the same. I mean, it's a sketch, well, it's a little bit more than a sketch plan. Actually,
On cue.
right on cue.
Yeah.
This is Mr. Seaford Shaw. He is the developer owner of the property. Seaford, could you speak to the size of the units in the new 2-story building? Would you mind coming up to speak?
Just to get that right, you're talking about size of each unit.
Just the footprint of what the new units, I mean, in comparison to what you currently have.
Oh, okay. You mean the whole building?
The new 6,000 square foot, the 11 rooms, are they similar in size?
Yes, altogether it will be about 7,000 square feet. As a matter of fact, I just got the architectural drawing just now,
Good.
between 2 stories.
So will the room sizes be similar to what's currently on the property, or?
It'll be about 225 square feet, including the bathroom.
Okay. Does that answer your question? Perfect.
Just curious.
Any,
Actually, 240 square feet.
It's okay.
Thank you.
any other questions from council or comments? If not, I'll accept the motion. All right.
Mr. Mayor, I make the motion to approve the recommendation for an Economic Development Committee and provide a fee reduction after annexation to the existing 22-room Sunrise Motel property. Tax max and partial, 331-3.00-1.80.00, located at 22512 Sussex Highway, Seaford, Delaware, zip code 19973, for a 24-month period for the beneficial occupancy of the water and sewer utility installations as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Councilman McCoy, I'll second.
Okay, Councilman McCoy, second. Ashley, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilman Santos,
Aye.
Councilman Henderson,
Aye.
Councilman Holland,
Aye.
Councilman McCoy,
Aye.
Councilman King.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Appreciate the good work you're doing out there.
Mr. Mayor, just one thing to point out, aside from this, you would note that in my recommendation from that committee in the last paragraph, the committee talked about potentially looking at a similar incentive for additional properties on, in that area, and staff committed to working on some type of a document incentive, and we will bring that forward to you guys at a later date. Just make sure you're aware of that. Okay?
Thank you for bringing that
Thank
up.
you.
That was good. As we started seeing development, we really anticipated development would happen on the east side of 13, and it's amazing what's happening on the west side, so it's awesome. Good stuff. All right, next we have the Employee Assistance Program. June, are you going to? Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
I'm here to discuss an employee assistance program, and basically we started looking at this because of, there's just different life circumstances that happen, and certainly our employees during the current times with the COVID pandemic and just different things of that nature. People are dealing with more anxiety and just different issues, and so basically this assistance program is something that would benefit them, and then there's also some benefits to the city. I'm going to kind of go through the proposal that we have, just highlight it a little bit, and then we'll discuss any questions that you might have. Right. So this program is offered by Health Advocate. They provide quite a few different benefits, but this particular employee assistance program, sorry, I'm going to get my glasses on. Basically what it does, it offers kind of a work-life program that's a short-term counseling and support for a range of personal, family, financial, and work-life issues. Sorry, my glasses are fogging up. So some of the features of the program, they have clinical support, which is confidential short-term counseling. They, with some of the work-life support as far as like financial, child care, elder care, that's available via the telephone, online, or through a mobile app. There's also some legal, they can help with legal advice, or helping you to find someone to give you legal advice. And they have a comprehensive national network. They also have on-site support where they could come here and offer seminars or workshops. They also can help with what they term as disruptive event management or trauma assistance. So that could be anything with a disaster or crisis of some sort. They also can assist human resources and management by unlimited telephonic manager consultations for sensitive employee issues. They have a comprehensive mandatory referral program and concierge service. They also have, these services are also available globally. They have a substance abuse program, And then under the comprehensive reporting, part of what this program allows is we would be able, even though the program itself is confidential to whoever may use it, we would get reports based on number of new cases, and probably a classification of the problem, age and gender, but we wouldn't get specific people's names or anything like that. But it would allow us to be able to see how the program's being used, how often it's being used, and that way at the end of the program, we can take a look at it and say, was it worth offering this program, or was, there very minimal use, or, was it beneficial? So kind of the key highlights as far as eligibility for the program, it would be available to all employees, their spouses, dependents, parents, and parents-in-law. And just key benefits, it's available 24/7. It helps to intervene and help resolve personal issues, improves employee productivity and morale, reduces medical and mental health costs, helps employees balance work-life issues, reduces legal and financial related stress, could help decrease turnover, absences, and labor disputes, has expert management consultation support, and it seamlessly integrates with any other programs that they might have. So the pricing for this program, we would have to sign a 3-year contract, and it's a $4,000 per year cost to that program. And again, each year we would be able, to constantly look and see, is it beneficial, to do this program. So at the end of the 3-year period, if we saw that it wasn't being utilized, we could terminate at that time. So anyway, that's pretty much the end of that. So if anyone has any questions.
Are there any questions on this assistance program? Councilman King?
Yep, thank you, Mr. Mayor. June, so how is this, if it gets approved, how will this roll out to the associates?
They would come and work with Annette and I, provide us some training. They would also give us handouts and different information, and then we would roll it out to the employees. So.
Okay. Any other questions for June in regards to this assistance program?
I had a question.
Yes, Councilman.
So you said that you'll be able to monitor if, let's say, 5 people use it, you'll be able to know that 5 people are using it. And would they also say they were looking for legal advice, or would they say that it was substance abuse? Will they categorize that? Or?
Yes, the reporting options, it would give you categories of use, how it was used, and purposes, I guess, but we would not know.
It was. It
details.
could be their,
We
it could be
wouldn't
their
know
wife,
details.
and it wouldn't. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, I'll accept the motion. Thanks, June.
All right, Councilman King, Mr. Mayor, I make the motion to approve the proposal to provide employees with an employee assistance program from Health Advocate for a cost of $4,000 annually for a 3-year agreement with funding in FY21 to be a budget overrun as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Lionel Holland, I second that motion.
Okay, thank you. Ashley, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilman Santos,
Aye.
Councilman Henderson,
Aye.
Councilman Holland,
Aye.
Councilman McCoy,
Aye.
Councilman King.
Aye.
It's unanimous. June, we look forward to seeing that rolled out. Thanks so much. All right, next we have the bids for the entrance to the Montessori school. Mr. Mears.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Good evening. Let's see if, last Wednesday, we received 4 bids for the Montessori school dugout entrance and parking lot. I think most of you should know that the legislators got together and gave the Montessori school some money, some CTF funds to get this installed. The only way that they can do that is if we administer and oversee the contract. So that's kind of how we get involved in this. So we put the bid out based on their engineer's estimate and their engineered project. It's all their plans and everything. And the bids did come back last Wednesday. They came back over what they came back over what the engineer's estimate was, which was then forwarded to the legislators for CTF funds. So I went back to the Montessori school. They did say that they would pay the overage plus any contingencies or project overage that we realized during the project. So the low bidder, Schedule A and Schedule B is basically, Schedule A is the Del Dot entrance portion, is kind of the lighter gray on the bottom, everything towards the road, and then Schedule B is the road in the parking lot inside, includes striping and curbing, sidewalk, all that. So Thompson & Son is the low bidder. They're actually the site subcontractor out there now, so that's actually a benefit because they've done all the work, and there's some kind of make-ready work that the contractor had to do before this contract went in place, so that's good. That's the same one. So let's see. We did have a meeting with the Del Dot entrance division, and they have some requirements that they have to meet before we can actually get this project done. So we had a real short window in the contract to get this done before school opened, but it's probably not going to happen now. So, but as long as it works with their schedule. So.
Are there any questions on the bids for the entrance and parking lot to the Montessori school? Yes, sir. Councilman Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With the anticipated delays for the state to start with the entrance work, is there any contract language about holding their price, or what I guess whichever schedule it is would be delayed. They would go ahead and do the parking lot.
Yeah, potentially both of them can be delayed because they still have to get the Del Dot permit, and that's kind of what we were talking about the other day on the phone. And there's some things that could take some time with that. They are allowed to use the entrance during construction while, to get the school open should they try. But that is one thing that I kind of asked them to do, is to go to Thompson & Son and see if they will honor their pricing, how long they'll honor their pricing for. Because in our contract, it's only like 40 days or so, because they had a real aggressive schedule to try to get put in. So,
they may not get a notice to proceed for
could be
many times more than that 40 days.
Definitely.
10 months.
Definitely. Yeah. So basically, how I see it unfolding is we're going to pay the $296.95 because that's what we got from the legislators. And then anything over, then Montessori School needs to know that they're going to be on the hook for that. So.
Right. And in our conversations, the Director of Public Works even covered, not only is there going to be potential asphalt price increases that could occur, there's labor increases that could occur for, depending upon this length of time to make this happen.
Let alone design changes
All that.
on the entrance.
Right. You are correct.
Right.
Thank you, Burley.
Any other questions in reference to the bid?
Yeah, I have just one.
Yes, Councilman
So,
King?
yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Hey, Burley, so can we talk about some of Del Dot's expectations, so when they're looking at that, so what it currently is now and what it's going to be? So, with the traffic, the amount of increased traffic, so what's Del Dot's expectations on that, as far as the entrance and exit?
Well, they've already got an approved set of Del Dot plans, so they've already gone through the whole approval process. This is just the actual construction permit. With that is like the MOT, maintenance of traffic, and different things that they have to do, inspections and releases of concrete and things like that. So they have to just get on. Once there's usually a surety and all these other things, but they did get waived because we're administering it. So that's where we're at right now. So we're just trying to get the actual permit to construct. The plans have already been approved.
So there's no deviation from the plan?
Not at this minute.
Okay.
As of yet.
Not as of yet.
No. Okay, any other questions? All right, if not, I'll accept the motion.
Councilman McCoy, I'll make the motion to award the bid for the Montessori School Del Dot entrance and parking lot paving to Thompson and Sons, the low bidder in the amount of $317,294.20, with funding provided by CTF and Montessori School funding as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Councilman King, I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. Ashley, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilman Santos,
Aye.
Councilman Henderson,
Aye.
Councilman Holland,
Aye.
Councilman McCoy,
Aye.
Councilman King.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. Thanks, Burley. Great work. Appreciate it. All right, next we have the replacement tanks. You're still up, huh?
Yep, so I'm gonna skip to the pictures actually first, everybody likes pictures, but this is the Oxic tank at the wastewater treatment plant. This is basically like the heartbeat or the lungs of the treatment plant, if you will. You know, this is where the air gets introduced to the bugs. The bugs get happy and they eat what they need to eat and dispose of what they need to dispose of. So to keep them happy, you need to have the proper air in place for them. So there's 4 trains there. Each train has 15 panels. There's 60 panels altogether. Okay, what they are, it's a fine membrane with thousands of little tiny holes that it's a micro diffusion of air. But that's, so basically they were installed in the 1998 expansion. In 2011, took us a little while between 2011 and 2013. We replaced all the membranes. Now, those are all panels, and each one, when I'm talking about membranes, it's just membranes on top of each one of those panels. So we replaced them in 2011. They lasted about 13 to 15 years. We're starting to see some little tears in them again. And what it does, if you get a tear in it, it's a big, large bubble, and it just goes straight up to the top, and it doesn't mix well and give all the bugs the air like they need to. So we're approaching about 10 years. We installed them all. The guys down there installed all them themselves. That's why it took a couple of years, but it did save the city a ton of money by them taking that project on themselves. So we started getting some tears, like I said, and so we reached out to try to get some more membranes, and they're telling us that these panels are now obsolete. You know, it's 20-some years, 25 years, so they've gone to a new technology, so they're not going to support these panels anymore. So by mid-December, they're not going to make this membrane material anymore. So that's why we thought we would just replace a couple here and there through normal equipment maintenance line item funding, but because we want to get all the panel material in before December, we're going to approach it as an unbudgeted expenditure. So we got a quote for $32,500, which includes shipping. If we went with the new panels, it's around $142,000 for new panels, which doesn't include the labor. This should get us another 10 years or so, which will put us into the range of the next planned upgrade, is what we're hoping. Fingers crossed.
All right, any questions in regards to the membranes?
Just one quick question. I'm just curious about how much we have in the wastewater capital reserve funds right now.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I can't, and the Director of Finance is here. We can't give you a number right off the top of our head. I will say budgeted this year, we had in excess of about $500,000 just this year earmarked to go into reserves. We paid off a large loan in 2019 of about $635,000, and this council made the decision to put that money, instead of doing anything else with it, we were putting that money into reserves for issues like this, or additionally for either a down payment or future debt service on the plant expansion the director's talking about. So this will be a small fraction of even what we're putting in just this budget year.
Yeah.
But we can certainly get you the total amount, Councilman.
And I'm sorry, Councilman, they don't tell me that information. I want to spend it all.
We certainly do share the information.
It's less than what we're putting in this fiscal year into the reserve. I want to say we're putting 50-some thousand we're putting in this year. We budgeted to put into reserves.
Yeah, and certainly had the director and his staff known that this was an issue during budget time, we would have included this in the budget, this issue came up within the last couple weeks or so where this was going to be a discontinued project. So, you know, we take responsibility for springing it on the council, but this is not the way we typically want to do it, but.
Okay. Just one more question. Can you go back to that?
This one?
Yes. So the panel membranes were replaced about 7 or 9 years ago, but with these new ones, they'll last us another 10 or 12?
Well, we're hoping so. We were really hoping to get 10 or 12 out of these. And the majority of them are still good. We're just seeing probably a handful of them in the one train going bad. So knowing now that we need all the material, we wouldn't replace them all the way. We would hold the material until they failed and then replace them that way. So we'd hope to stretch it out, you know, for 10 to 12 years.
All right, thank you.
Okay, any other questions from council?
Yes,
Councilman
sir, I have
King?
to. So Burley, since this is product that's going to be obsolete, what you're ordering, is that gonna carry you 10 years out? Or is this an opportunity that you may need additional product to carry you through just in case?
Well, my hope is that in 10 years, my capital improvement plan, we're talking like 6 to 8 years before we get the actual new plant going. So I'm hoping that it'll last us past that,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
And my second question is, so the $141,000 in labor, can you talk a little bit about, so is that your employees that are actually putting these panels on? And so
No,
can you talk a little
that
bit
was
about
just the new panels, so the obsolete panels that they're not making anymore, they have a new panel, but it takes 2 panels for every 1 panel. So the cost of replacement panels is $141,800, just for the panels itself. The labor, I don't have a price on labor just because we did it ourselves, but there would definitely be more labor to retrofit because, like I said, it's 2 panels replacing 1, so there'd be some more installation costs on it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Them guys are not afraid to do projects and save the city a lot of money.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
Any other? Yes, sir.
So Burley, can you talk a little bit about the design of the future plant? Will this Oxic system or the diffusers be obsolete or demolished and something different put in for the expansion in 5 to 10 years?
So the tank and the train would stay. Probably some of the down piping and things like that would stay. But they're actually recommending these fine disc diffusers. So it would be, instead of having 15 panels to a train, there might be hundreds of these little discs that are supposed to go in there. So these would go away.
So it would be, you know, it's a stopgap measure because it'll be a totally new technology
Correct.
at the end.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Councilman, Burley, what's the life of the new panels compared to the?
Well, the new panels only lasted 13 to 15 years.
Right,
So from the manufacturer. So when we did it, we're hoping to get 10 to 12. So.
Well, the new designs, talking about the disc, you saying, so they're gonna be like 10 to 12 also?
I don't know because I don't have any experience. I mean, typically, in our industry, they give a 20, you know, they say life expectancy is like 20 years, but
Okay.
something like this might not last quite that long. The good thing about when we get to that system is you're replacing these little discs,
Right.
so it's a lot less labor intensive and
Okay.
easier to maintain.
Okay, any other questions from council? If not, I'll accept the motion.
All right, Mr. Mayor, Councilman King, I'll make the motion to approve the proposal from Parks and Corporation of $32,500 to purchase replacement membranes for the Oxic tanks at the wastewater treatment facility as an unbudgeted expenditure with funding provided by wastewater capital reserve funds as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Councilman Santos, I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilman Santos,
Aye.
Councilman Henderson,
Aye.
Councilman Holland,
Aye.
Councilman McCoy,
Aye.
Councilman King.
Aye.
Okay, Senor Burley, again, thank you and your guys for what they do to keep that plant running so efficient and saving us money. We appreciate it. So, all right, we're going to go on to committee reports. We'll start off with police and fire. Councilman Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My report is submitted in its entirety with the help of Fire Chief John Wilson and Police Chief Marshall Kraft. As always, there's a lot of data, so I encourage you to go through it, but I will say that the fire department remains busy with alarms to date of fire and rescue calls of 402 as of yesterday, and EMS calls of 1,809. Tower 87 is out of service and needs to have some aerial maintenance for an upcoming test. And in EMS, the ambulance B87 specification was sent out to vendors for their review and bid. Under special events, we'd like to welcome back firefighter Brock Willie. He has returned safely from overseas on a deployment with the Delaware National Guard. He was away from his wife for many months, and we're thankful that he's home in one piece and safe. I'll move on to police activity. As you can see, there's the year-to-date totals for all incidents. Moving down, you can see in the crime view the crime data by day and time and the concentration of events there. There's you can see that there were in the period there were 222 total complaints, and there are subdivisions there. Under drug complaints, there were 12 complaints, all adult. There were no overdoses during this period. Under traffic, there were 259 traffic contacts with 66 citations, and you can see the distribution of the injury accidents and non-injury accidents. Moving down to significant events, they are numerous, but I will say that the department has been responding mostly to large crowds and noise complaints, which is how should I say, really tested the police department, and I got to commend the force for its tenacity and sticking to it, because these are very trying times, and we're very fortunate to have had the help of outside agencies to control some of the extremely large crowds, including the Delmar police with the K-9 unit, which was very effective at controlling some of the crowds. So we appreciate their help as well. You'll see some of the activities of the administration and their trainings. And you can see that under events that the department remains very active in volunteerism with the senior center and with a food truck for the Harry K. Foundation. So that's a brief look at the police and fire activities. If you would indulge me, I would, before I close, this does conclude my report. I would like to send my condolences to family of Ben Peterson, our former Councilwoman Grace Peterson. It was a very just a heartbreaking loss, and I just want to send my condolences out to the family. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you saying that. Okay, next we'll go to Code, Parks and Rec. Councilman Holland.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We'll start with Code. They have started issuing vehicle violations throughout the city, and within 1 day, they issued 40 out-of-commission vehicles were tagged for violations. They are interviewing candidates for the code inspector position. And first duplex at Merrifield 2 is almost complete, and the second one is a permit has been issued. All right, then on the Parks and Rec side, they completed second week of field and hockey, tennis, and received favorable compliments from parents. And the idea has been presented to host a fall clinic for youth soccer and flag football rather than leagues. And I got a couple flow charts to show you. A big congratulations go to the 10-year anniversary of Hooper's Landing. And they've done the total rounds. If you follow the flow charts, it's a steady increase. And people, they're thriving when you don't expect them to with this COVID-19 virus going around. And with the total rounds, they brought an income of $19,821. So I'd like to commend Hooper's Landing for the great job they're doing. I'm praying that they continue to be successful and what an asset they are to our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your work this weekend on the code, too. All right, next we have electric with Councilman McCoy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Hit a few highlights. The crew worked with Verizon, setting a new pole in Woodside Manor. Changed the gloves and sleeves. They did have an outage at the Arby's and Motel 6 due to a bird situation. They energized the Dolby lift station. Nick Smart completed week 4 of 8 for lineman training. And they trimmed trees behind Arbutus Avenue where a fence is going to be placed, and trimmed trees and vines behind 419 Hickory Lane. Over the course of the upcoming weeks, they're going to continue changing the lights on Sussex Highway to LED, work with the school on lights in front of Central Elementary, and continue working in Muirfield 2 as they build more units. Mr. Mayor, it has been my report. It's been submitted in its entirety. Those are a few highlights.
Okay, thank you very much. And finally, we have Public Works Wastewater Treatment, Councilman King.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. My report has been submitted in its entirety. I'm just going to read some highlights. And as you'll see, Burley Mears and his team are extremely busy. We've got a lot of activity going on throughout our community, which is a good thing. So some of the highlights, replacement of the water service to 413 Arch Street, installed new water service on State Street, replaced sinkholes on 3rd Street. Quite a bit of, as Burley alluded to tonight, there's a lot of bids currently out for street paving. Talked about the Montessori school, what's going on there. Route 13 water main extension is going well and nearing completion. Force main and pump station installation for the Unified Sewer District is ongoing. Ordered signs for Muirfields. Wastewater treatment facility, there is compost for sale, but it is by appointment only. Church of God paving has started. Burley is preparing, him and his team are preparing to do some lead and copper testing of the water systems. Actually advertising the fire department roof project. Replacing fire hydrants is an ongoing project. And with that, Mr. Mayor, that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope everybody's getting the opinion that your hard work is paying off and that you're seeing a lot of this infrastructure being put in the ground, investment being poured into Seaford. This is something that we've had a vision for a long time. It's starting to pay off, so I want to thank you for your leadership and your courage to make some good decisions, so I appreciate it so much. With that, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman McCoy, I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Councilman Santos, I'll second it.
Okay, then, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, unanimous. Thank you. Good night.